parts of a story. There are three parts, and one is the character. In our journey, in our walk with God, God has allowed different characters to be in our life story. And because of that, and whether good or whether bad, it doesn't make any difference. They were in our lives, or in our story. And if you look at the natural, a lot of times, even in a natural story, they will remove a character out of a story because they did not fulfill their job right. So then, in our spiritual story, God allows certain people to come into our lives and out of our lives, but they got to be good actors. So to accomplish what the story is trying to portray, they got to be good at what they do. So if they were negative and showed up negative and bad, they had to be good at what they were doing. Because to get what God wanted you to have, see, you sometimes you can't appreciate some levels of blessings until you go through some levels of negativity. So in other words, let's say it like this: there's some drama that has to occur. So characters are very important in stories. And then sometimes, like I said, they will phase out of character for various reasons. Because maybe they're not doing their part right. Maybe there's some off-the-scene things that they're doing. We just heard some on TV about a certain sitcom. They counseled him because he was doing some stuff off screen. So in our stories and in our lives, there are characters that do some crazy stuff. But God will allow them for a period of time to be in our story. So it goes on to say that the character also is placed based on the process of the author, based on the process of the one who wrote the story, based on the one who developed the play or the drama. It is based on the foreknowledge of that individual. I want you to go with me because it's very important that you see that just as the world formalizes and molds a story, God does the same thing. Because what happens is if you miss that, there's been stories that I've watched on TV, and I'd be sitting at the edge wondering what the next part is going to happen. My father and I, we love to watch cowboys and movies, and Brother Matthew like that. And what happened, cowboys were situations where you've seen a lot of storytelling going on and drama going on in those movies. But what would happen is that at different times, have you ever seen a story where something happened and you weren't expecting it in the story? Because they built you up to a certain area, and then before the end of it, it dropped you, and you didn't say, like, wait a minute, I know there's more to this story. And so in your mind, you begin to think, wait a minute, I could have wrote this a little bit better. But the mind of the person who wrote it had something in mind. It's like having the sequels of Rocky 1 through, I think it's 5. But there was a plot at the end of each one of them. There was something that would lead you into the next sitcom or the next series or the next part 1 or 2. It was something in there, some type of drama that brought you to there, that made you want to say, well, I'm going to see the I know some of y'all didn't see this, but Karate Kid. Karate Kid had one and then another one. And how many remember, what is it? Wax on. See, there are parts of that caught your attention. And you know the other one. Yeah, you think it's got ready. But there were parts of that story that drew you in, that pulled you in, but those were a part of the character. And characters, they make the plot. They make the story. They make it happen. They make it so it's believable. And a lot of times, most of the time, very seldom are they acting out themselves or acting out the part of somebody else. But let's move on. Okay, so there's characters. Okay, the next part of a story is the setting, where the story takes place. In our spiritual life and in this journey, it takes place in many different arenas and many different areas of our lives. Sometimes if you could write the setting, you would change it. You would change it. You would say, I don't like this setting. I'm going to write that part out and I'm going to put something else in. But how many know that the setting also makes the story? Just like the characters make the story, the setting makes the story. In other words, with a setting, you can see some stories. You know, I forget the name of that movie now. It's in my mind. And one of my children would know. Every once in a while we would get together. And it's the man that had all the kids and they dancing to the tulips. Who?
Sound of Music.
Sound of Music. If y'all have ever seen that thing. Listen.